Okay, I'm going to officially start this. Welcome everybody for the Tai Chi for Beginners Master Trainer Update and Training Workshop. This is very important in my mind. I was just talking about when I was trying to bring my video, those days videos to people 20 years ago. I went to London. Someone invited me to be a judge international competition, and I take that opportunity to go there and trying to break in the market. And London was pretty bad. I got the phone book and I ring 55 people who's remotely got to do video distribution. And of course, nobody knows who I am, and most of them just forget it. But at least 20% or even more, 30% people actually have a person answer your phone call, which was a big, for me. I was so happy when someone's talking to me instead of recording. And I was able to meet and my then distributor through, I walk all day, meet all these people. Eventually somebody took me on. In USA, I tried to do the same thing. And of course, you get everywhere I ring. I don't think I have one person actually have a personal answer, which is really sad that personal contact is gone. And I noticed my bank, the Bank of America, actually changing now. I used to talk to people from India and Philippines, and they're very, very polite and they're very, very friendly, but they don't do anything. They don't know anything. And even they do, they know they don't want to do it for you. Whereas the people who actually work in America for the bank, I can talk to them and they tell me exactly where I am. So that was good. Life changed like this. When we start Tai Chi for arthritis, there was just a small group of friends who believe it, but we have a direction. The direction was people with arthritis, with disabled, diseased people who is older, who actually don't think they can do Tai Chi. They actually like Tai Chi, know something about it, but they think they got arthritis, they can't do Tai Chi. And we have a niche, and through Arthritis Foundation, through the older age society, through the university hospitals, we really make an impact and we reach a lot of people. Tai Chi for Beginner is a different direction. There are people like, I think Darcy says, people with that stigma about a condition. Well, they'll say, I don't have arthritis. I have a doctor who asked me, hey, Dr. Lam, I don't have arthritis. Can I try Tai Chi for arthritis, And another doctor who's even more amazing, I gave a talk to a group of 200 doctors. And in my old university, I was so proud to go back to the big lecture hall, and I was the lecturer. So that was my dream. I never thought that happened to me. And so 5 years later, there was a hospital specialized in people with mental problems, like mostly stress and depression and all that. That private hospital called me, asked me to train their staff. And then I found out all this comes from the senior psychiatrist who's in charge of, who's very influential. And so I finally got to meet him, and this psychiatrists are doctors. They're originally doctors. And he said, oh, I went to your lecture 5 years ago, Dr. Lam. And then he said his specialty is stress, helping people to release stress. And he got so stressed that he having problem handling it. So he got my video. He remembered 5 years ago here in the lecture. And so he got my video and he learned Tai Chi for arthritis. And he told me, yes, he's much handling his stress much better. And he said, Dr. Lam, it's really funny. My arthritis gets better too. Well, he's yeah. So we do have angle who people don't want to know they have any conditions. And the younger, the more savvy people, especially one I have now 9 million hits for Tai Chi for beginners, first free lesson. And usually they stay for 10 seconds, but I think somewhere I read statistics about 1 million they actually stay for more than 50 minutes. 5-0. That's, I hope I'm right here, Evan. But I've seen it somewhere. They seem to stay longer than normal. Instead of 10 seconds, they stay for. So they do take the lesson, which is really promising. And I think younger people all ages do have similar direction in life. We all want to do something interesting, something fun, and we all want to be healthy. It's just that they require different approach, different presentation. So I think I'm really happy to see you here. That I kind of, this morning, I was just thinking of the, you know, that movie called The Magnificent Seven? Was it 7 or 10? So there's 7 of us. Then we're going to start a new phase. We're just going to find a way of presentation approach. Already people do Tai Chi for beginner, but how we can really make it a boom like the way Tai Chi for arthritis did. And it should be even more significant because the audience is everybody. It's bigger than Tai Chi for arthritis. So I think we can work together, share ideas, and yeah, to bring this to more people. It will be a very fun project. The other thing that Pat brought to my attention, I guess that reminds me, that was my initial intention when I created it, which is a long time ago. But it was created based on my learning from other people, other schools, but also it's based on my Tai Chi school, which is nearly 40 years, which is how we do it. We teach people with this method, this 6 easy steps. So it's good to present something simple to the beginners, and the teaching system also work out a way that you can have new participants and older participants and how to integrate them. That was part of the way to do that. We can do the fundamental movements one at a time, independently, and then you can join them. So it's like they spring off to the advanced group. So it's also a system allow us to continue to 24 form. So that is the key system, what we work in our school successfully. So as Pat saying, it's not just an introduction of 24 form. It really is an integrated system, especially the Qigong. I think it's just right from beginning, we talk about the key, the core of Tai Chi, what Tai Chi really works. The ultimate purpose is improving your Qi. So we start with a very easy, simple breathing system, which is the key of it. So we are making a sort of sophisticated, complex art, Tai Chi, to something that is really accessible and even more effective, really. It's really hard for people. I think the people who's very experienced, like Pat and Bill, who does a lot of Tai Chi, you can appreciate it. Whereas some people who's relatively new at Tai Chi, they get dazzled with these mysterious words like what is the Kuai, there's a way of the classical Chinese teacher have a way of mystify Tai Chi, which is kind of nice, but really it sort of exclude a lot of people. Like Peng Kersher, when she went to a Tai Chi school, she spent half a year, and the teacher teach her 2 movements. And at the end of half a year, Peng says, "I'm too dumb for Tai Chi, forget it." That's why she left. Peng's very persistent, and of course. So when she came to my workshop, it was only because Carolyn organized a workshop, and Carolyn was the coordinator for the medical education, and Peng was the director of the complementary medical unit. So Peng has to support Caroline. That is why Peng came in to my workshop. Yeah, and she said, "Oh, I'll stay 10 minutes and now go." Is that okay? I said, "Sure." So she stayed and she never go. And Caroline said, Peng said she doesn't want to teach, but what if we talk her into getting an instructor certificate anyway? So we both went to her and said, no harm, just get an instructor certificate. You're here anyway. So, all right. Anyway, the rest of the story. And Peng became a master trainer, and she started so many people on Tai Chi path. So that's kind of a story I like to sort of repeat in Tai Chi for beginner way, and for people to see, while the Misty is nice, it's nice to use it, but on the other hand, I think it's good for people to know, even though Tai Chi is mysterious and wonderful, but anyone can get it. You just need to put your mind to it and spend a little time, and it can be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be hard work. So that's the system that we want to bring it up to the world, and I'm very hopeful we will. After all, 9 million people look at the introduction and first lesson. There must be an interest out there. So anyway, so that's what I feel. I'm going to roughly follow the schedule, and if I deviate from the schedule, don't worry. That's usually what we do, changes as it goes. We're going to start with your introduction. We all know each other, and you guys are all experienced. So just spend a couple of minutes, say anything you like us to know. And I'm going to start with Pat because it's on top of my screen.
Bear out that I came up through traditional yang style first, and my teacher only knew the 108 movement form, and it wasn't even the same 108 movement form that everybody else knows. And then I met Paul, and then I started learning Tai Chi for arthritis, and Sun style was a whole different world. So a couple of years later, when he talked to me about releasing Tai Chi for beginners, I was so excited, but I want to share it with all the reading, the work. I have all the books. I've read everything. I set up a workshop for Paul to come in Sebring, and I think I mentored there or mentored somewhere with you, Paul, on beginners. And it didn't go well. It was okay, but it didn't go great because my head was still around the old way of doing it, but using stepwise progressive. Somehow, even with my reading and my preparation, I still had in my head that Tai Chi for beginners was applying stepwise progressive to the first 6 movements of the 24 forms and breaking things down. And I have to say, it was only this year and working on the stage 1, stage 2 format, working myself through stage 1 again. And it's where I'm at. I think in my own Tai Chi, I'm able to go back to basics. Maybe I'm a beginner again. And to me now, I'm so excited about this program because now I finally get it, that it's the 6 easy steps. And 1 is the overall warm-up, 2 is 2 warm-ups for each of 6 major muscle groups, 3 cool downs, 4 Qigong, 5 foundation movements in the 6 parts of the set, the 6 movements with the connections and the foundation moves that make up the set. And it's so brilliant and so simple. And I never put that together. You know, I was teaching this stepping separate, and I was using stepwise progressive, but the incorporating those Qigong as part of the class and viewing it in this simple, numbered way is just so exciting to me right now. And I think it's going to be really appealing to students. I can't wait to launch it. So thank you. And I wanted to put that out there in the spirit of transparency, that I have a whole different view of this now that I worked through the stage 1, stage 2. That gave me time to process it better. Thank you.
You?
Sorry, took me a little while to get unmuted here. Well, my story is nothing like Pat's. Unfortunately, that was pretty exciting, Pat, to hear that. Actually, 24 form was the first form that I started in. Basically, the first, I did a little Tai Chi just before that, but the first form I ever got serious about was 24 form. So I've been doing that form for over 30 years. And it's interesting, I've had many different teachers along the way, and every teacher from my very beginning teacher all the way up through Paul, and the working through the 24 form has actually always done it the same form, but it's been done a little differently and it's been taught a little differently. So I've been a Tai Chi for beginners master trainer for several years now, and I try to run a class about every 2 years. So, you know, I'm not, you know, out, you know, I think it's great. I used it as an introductory session for my 24 forms. And usually after I introduce the basics of Tai Chi for beginners, several people are interested in going home and learning more about the 24. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thanks to you, Kitty.
Well, I've kind of got a combination story of Pat and Bill's. I started with the 108 and did it for about 2 years and really didn't get all that far into it. The teacher was very strict about how the movements were done. The 24 is really the forms. And I did do the Tai Chi for beginners. And then I ended up dropping that instructor certification because I thought, well, I teach the 24 forms I'm already doing. And it's really been during the pandemic and having to teach differently because of distancing, as well as having to use Zoom, that I had to really rethink all of my teaching in general. And coming back to the principles and Qigong, and starting with the internal has really been what I've had to focus on. And it's been great. It's made everything else better. So in coming back through the Tai Chi for beginners and doing the stage 1, I also started to appreciate it a lot more and how it does start from the inside and moves out. And there are lots of other advantages to it. I did a lot of the stepping and all that other stuff in the 24 forms, but starting with the internal, I think has made a huge difference and will make a huge difference for many people.
Thanks, Kitty. Yeah, I started the same way, 108 too. But my teacher was very open-minded. Actually, I learned from 2 other teachers, but the real teacher was my father-in-law. I discovered his connection. And of course, he was very gentle. So he was, yeah, very open-minded, very easy. Yeah. So next is Darcy, but before Darcy, Evan, if you need to go, it's okay. I think, yeah, if I have any, hope I'm agreeing you.
I just wanted to ask if anyone else besides Pat would be willing to possibly contribute to the co-hosting, maybe like setting up breakouts and switching them around. Does anyone have experience with the breakout room?
Yeah, well,
thing? Okay,
I
Beverly.
would suggest Pat
Great.
and Bill.
Okay, I'll put, and Beverly just raised her hand as well, so I'll put all three of them as co-hosts.
Okay, good.
And then just in case, I didn't set up breakout rooms yet. I didn't have that list, but it's
That's
only
okay.
2 rooms, I think.
I can do it.
Okay, great. Well, I'll stay for a little bit longer. This is great. I'll listen to all the bios. It's actually really fun to hear you guys speak. So, excuse me.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Darcy?
Yes, I started teaching the Tai Chi for Arthritis program and then got real excited when Tai Chi for Rehabilitation came along because I work in a physical therapy clinic as an assistant. And it's just perfect timing. I am just newly certified from getting prepared to help Dr. Lamb with the stage 1, stage 2 Tai Chi for beginners. So for January, I have just started teaching with my long-term group of student stylers, and they're excited to go through this program with me and then continue on through the 24 forms, because that's how you really get it in your bones and your spirit or your soul of a form, is to teach it, I have found. So I'll be able to be better to serve others in training in this program. And I love that it doesn't have a condition, so that it's open to more people to get benefits.
Right. Thanks, Darcy. Richard, please.
I think you said Richard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I took the pre-workshop on the Tai Chi for beginners quite a few years ago, and then after that I didn't do too much with it. I taught it to some of my regular classes, but then I taught the Tai Chi for beginners osteo at the workshop 2 years ago, with our live workshop here in June. But going through this and going through the stage 1, stage 2, and facilitating, this put a whole new coat of paint on this whole thing for me. So I really do appreciate going through this and just picking up a lot of things that I wish I had had years ago. So this is good for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm the only one left.
Yeah. Last but not the least.
At least, interesting, an interesting story too. I never consciously decided to learn Tai Chi. It was just my research subjects got me involved. And when I think back, I was the only one that stayed with the man that I had hired. We had finished right before Thanksgiving, and I couldn't make this beginners class on Thursday morning. He says, come on and join my middle and senior students on Tuesday night. And that was interesting as a really rank beginner. To do that, I've learned quite a bit. And through him, I learned some Chen Man Ching with some effort because it wasn't geared to a beginner. Raoun Sung came and spent a year sabbatical with me, and she'd already been working with Paul. And so she taught me TCA. And I'm thinking, what is this form? I was having some initial sort of difficulties and just being introduced to it. But truly enjoyed it and felt something with it. And in sort of the process, I got involved with probably one of the men that's the best Tai Chi teacher in Gainesville, except it's an old form of Chen. In this hard martial arts studio. I mean, here's this old lady walking in and they're kickboxing and all of this other stuff. And there's judo going on over here. And then there's just a few people doing Tai Chi over here. And I'm thinking, I have not a clue. But it was interesting to get introduced to something else. And it was always, he trained a lot of the hard martial artists, and the ones that were his best, he always had them come and learn the Tai Chi. And I managed to talk to a lot of those people. And it was interesting, some of the transition, and watching even the transition from when they first come to class, and then over several weeks, how some things changed in terms of their form and the internal. And we always did a little push hands, and that even felt a little different. And you know, I'm a master trainer by now, and I've been teaching TCA. When I went back just to brush up a little bit on Chen Man Ching, this teacher in Gainesville, was involved with Sifu David Chen, who was a character in and of himself. And so I learned some of his, I don't know what forms, that the Yang, very old Yang style form that actually looked like it had a little bit of follow step in it. It was weird. But, you know, I had a discussion with him, and he said, you know, you are better trained than anybody else in that room. And I'm looking at that room, and some of those people have been doing Tai Chi for 30 years. I mean, they're really good. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, what is it? He said, you've been exposed to enough things that you've begun to understand the principles and how it sort of fits together. And he says, there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to do that. And I look at the Tai Chi for beginners as a way of beginning, teaching some of the principles, teaching some of the movements, but in a very non-threatening way that is a way of engaging new students who think that they could never do this when they look at somebody doing a whole form. And it's been interesting to watch people who didn't think they would be able to do it can. So I'm excited too about teaching it more. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, Beverly, that's a great story. And I think that is also, at first I were like you, but gradually I realized it didn't come easy to me. I worked really hard for it. And I was lucky enough to also meet many people who is really good and well known too. But I found when people really interested in the art and continue to practice and really understand, then they appreciate what we are doing. Whereas the people who just want the name or just want to look great and think they're fantastic themselves, never understand what we're doing. But then I think they get less enjoyment out of Tai Chi and less benefit out of Tai Chi. When I guess being a doctor, I kind of approach it in a very scientific way, in a very pragmatic way, that and being a Chinese person with that cultural background, I understand the culture, the writing much better than people who didn't have that background. And so I was able to sort of get the gist of it, I think. And then I think what we found, as you all know, it comes with practice. When we practice, then all these things become more clear and more interesting. And that was the fun part of it. Okay, well, let's start moving. I have this idea. How about the 6 easy steps? if you remember the order we did, which was just on the screen, but you come first. So Pat's the first, so she's going to do step number 1. And I think who's second? Bill, was you the second? And he's going to do step 2. And yeah, so follow the steps.
So
Is that
I'd be
okay?
number 4.
Okay, you
Is
4.
that the order?
Sure. Yeah, whatever that you agree.
And so Pat, what am I? What's my number 4?
You're number 4, Richard number 5, and Beverly, of course, number 6. She got the easiest.
Because
So-
that was my dumb question. The 6 easy steps, right? Because there's 4 qigong, 4 foundational movements, 5. Let's see, 4 qigong. Wait a second. Yeah, 4 qigong, 5 foundational movements, and then units didn't match up with the class. So yeah, you can coach me what number 4 would be, okay? So I get
Sure.
that straight.
Sure.
Thank you.
I can comment on it, or I can help at any time.
Thank you.
Sure. We'll just have fun together.
So everybody's found their spot, and we'll salute. And the first of the 6 easy steps is 1 overall warm up, walking around, stretching your fingers, relaxing, smile. I tell people because it relaxes over 40 muscles around your skull. And then change direction and gently move your wrists. And settle back. And I'll turn it over to Bill.
With that, but anyway, we got it. So did anyone hear my spiel about the fact that I got stuck with all of the warm-ups? Excuse me, I didn't get stuck with all of the warm-ups, but we're going to do Paul's easy set of warm-ups, 3 sets of warm-ups. We're going to do the first warm-up for the neck. We're going to do the first warm-up for the spine, and we'll do the second warm-up for the knees. So standing tall. Now, as I was mentioning, and I like this story, if you ever watch Andy Griffin, the story of Barney Fife, whatever, that he had to grow taller, and they put him in this neck brace and they stretched him up, and they had to put him in this neck brace, and he had to stretch his neck up toward the ceiling for some minutes every day, and he sank his lower body down toward the ground. So I want you to think about that. Those skeletons that are in a doctor's office, hanging from the very top of your head, okay? And just let all the bones in the body just kind of gently relax, settle down toward the floor, but your head is suspended toward the ceiling. Take a couple of deep breaths. This is the beginning posture. Let the hands float up. Drop your elbows, turn the palms in, press the chin back. I sometimes like to say, press all the bones in the face back. Gently stretch the back of the neck, and then eyes follow the hands down. Using the imagery that we're moving in water, moving up against the gentle resistance, pressing in, turn the palms, pushing out against the gentle resistance of the water. One more time. Moving on to the first spine exercise. Gently hold the ball, pushing up the heavens, holding down the earth.
Imagine you're expanding the upper body up and the lower body down as we come back and we change positions. Gently stretching. Feel the vertebrae opening up, muscles up and down the sides of the spine. Gently stretching. One more time on your own. Moving to our knees, turning our toes out just a little bit. Shift your weight to your left, step up to the right, touch the left foot, touch the heel, set the foot flat on the floor, shift the weight as we punch. Pull back, step back. Feel the spiraling energy of the body as we spiral the fist out, spiral the fist back. Being aware of our weight transfer, the weight transfer, very important principle of Tai Chi and fall prevention, especially for fall prevention. One more time. And have a little shake.
So number 3 is the 3 cool down exercises. So just go ahead and make loose fists and just tap out any muscles that seem to get a little bit tight. Feel free to leave your feet on the ground if you feel more comfortable. Second cool down is tensing and relaxing. So inhale, tensing up. And exhale, release. If you have arthritis in your fingers, you can just extend your fingers as you tense and then relax. One more time, breathing in. Exhale, release. Gathering in the chi, breathing in. Feel it settle down the center of your body, right to your lower dantian, and release. Again, breathing in. Storing all that positive energy.
Oh boy, that means I get to do the Qigong exercises with you. So there are 4, is that correct, that I do the Qigong?
Yes.
Okay, the first Qigong posture is the posture of infinity. So with our feet, if we're hip width, feet under the hips, under the shoulders, we're going to lengthen through the spine, relaxing the body, feeling our feet, and our hands are gently relaxed, shoulders away from the ears, and our head is at eye level. You can even think of a sinker on your tailbone just to release some of the tension in the low back. Knees are soft, not locked. So it's a really stable, wonderful, upright, but relaxed posture of infinity. And you can hold that for 10 seconds. And for now, we're going to move on to the second Qigong posture. And that is the posture of Tai Chi. We're going to have our hands facing each other. They're going to rise up in a gentle curve. Fingertips are going to be upright as if we're holding a ball. Relaxing again those shoulders. You can think of a little fishing sinker on those elbows. So it's not fully out and not collapsed against the rib cage, but everything's nice and soft and round. And if we move on, we'll go on to the third posture of open and close. And we're going to breathe in as we open to shoulder width. And we're going to breathe out as we close in. And you can almost touch if you'd like. And you can feel the warmth and those beautiful Qigong points in the palms of the hands are communicating. And you can do your 3 breaths of open and close. You can apply gentle resistance if you'd like, or imagine that magnetic force between the Lao Gongs. And then the last Qigong is going to be, we can close, but I'm moving. Is that okay if I move just for the sake of time? Move right through? We'll go to the posture of yin and yin yang harmony. And that is a breathing Qigong that our hands come up facing each other again because it's Qigong, and it comes down and in toward the belly, up along the chest and out from the heart in a loop. So you can have soft knees, and when you come up, you're going to breathe in and you're going to breathe out as you go down the loop. And you can soften, feel your feet coming up and inhale and exhale coming down that loop. So when you're done, we'll do one more, breathing in and breathing out. So we can stand up and I'll pass it on to, that was kind
That's
of
it.
fast, but
You done great. Yeah.
okay, thanks. Next person.
Yeah, just remind me what number 5 is.
5 foundation movements.
You want me to do all those? You want me to do all the
Just name them and then do each one and we follow you. You don't have to
Okay.
give full instruction.
Okay, so the first one is walking forward. So place your hands your back. Your weight is on the right. So take your left foot, place the heel, shift forward, shift your weight back, turn the toe, shift forward. Bring the right foot closer, step out, shift forward, shift back, turn the toe, shift forward, right foot close, left foot closer, step out. So we would continue this on. So that would be the first one. I believe the second one is the second one going backwards. I'm trying to remember the second one, stepping backwards.
The second one is parting wild
Parting
horses. mane.
horses, mane.
Oh, part of the wild horse's mane. Okay. So arms up. Down, bring your weight to the right. Hold the ball. Place the left foot behind. Shift the weight. Follow the left foot. So that's parting wild horses 1. Shift back. Turn the left toe. Shift forward. Right foot closer. Step out. Separate. Follow the right hand. Shift your weight back. Turn the toe. Left foot closer. Step out. Follow the left hand. So the next one would be walking backwards. So your
No.
hands on your done.
No, brush
No.
knee.
Oh, brush knee. Okay.
Richard, the logic
Yeah.
is, the logic of the foundational is step forward, teach you the basis of the steps, and then parting wild horses mane, brush knee are following that logic.
Okay.
Instead of doing something before you do it. The repulse monkey come after the stepping back. So that's why the stepping back is number 4. If you
I got
think
it.
about it, we are teaching one thing at a time. We're teaching how to do the stepping, and then applied it to patting white horses mane, applied it to brush knee. So that, and now we're going to teach stepping back, and that applying to repulse monkey. That's how the logic of it is: take one part, teach one part, add to it. That's how it's numbered. It didn't number first forward, second backwards.
I got it. I got it. All
Sure.
right, so let's go to our brush knee. So weight on the right, lifting the palm of the right hand, left hand protecting your elbow, stepping with the left, press down, shift your weight forward, press forward. Shift your weight back, turn your left toe, shift your weight forward to the left, right foot closer, step up, press knee, 2. Shift back, turn toe, shift forward. Left foot closer, step up, brush knee number 3. Right foot up. Now stepping backwards. Hands on your dantian. Weight in your right. Step your left foot, touch down. Shift your weight back. Bring your right foot closer. Step back to the right. Shift back. Adjust your left foot. Left foot closer. Step back with the left. Shift into it. Adjust your right foot. Left right foot closer. Step back. Shift your weight back. Adjust your left foot. So on. A real putt repulsing the monkey. Weight is on the right, looking at the palm of the right hand, looking to that right corner, right hand to the ear, look straight ahead. Step back with the left, touch down, shift your weight back. Right hand forward, left hand back, adjust the front foot. Looking left, looking straight. Left foot closer, step back, push the left hand forward, right hand back, adjust the left foot. Right, straight, step back, adjust the foot. And one more. Step back. Adjust the foot. And right foot up, right hand side. Okay, got that squared away now.
Okay, Beverly,
Order is not what I thought, so what's number 6?
number 6 is do the set from beginning
To
to,
the end.
and
Alright.
then, so if you turn your back, will follow you.
All righty, sounds great. And so you won't be able to hear me.
We don't have to say anything, but
Oh,
I
okay,
think you
that's
need to
great.
move
That's even better
more
yet.
towards, I think you need to move more towards your right, so we can see you throughout.
Oh, you can't? Oh, okay, hang on.
No.
When I teach, I sort of make sure I'm in the right
Towards,
spot.
more towards your right. Yep. Okay, and then you say commands and just do the
Alright.
set.
Commence.
Actually, the number 6 finished before that. There's no shocking bird's tail. We finished at here.
Oh, you're talking, when you talk about the whole set, you were not talking about, all right, yeah, it is.
Okay.
For some reason, I had 24 in my head.
Please come back. That's good. Yeah, I thought that can happen. So you will get a recording of this with practically no editing. Just keep it among ourselves. Do not use it for any negative purpose, just for ourselves. It's interesting. Before you teach, I recommend you do what Pat Weber did. Pat, as you know, is one of the most senior instructor and most senior master trainer. Pat Weber always go back to the video before she teach any movement. In this case, for Zoom, it's really good idea to tape yourself. The great thing about Zoom is you can do personal Zoom and it tape everything you do. Then you look at it and say, I didn't have enough space when I do that movement. And my participant couldn't see my feet. So then you can make arrangements to improve that. And also you hear the sound as well. I'm just going through my impression of it. I like Pat's number 1, where she talked about getting people loose and relax and getting ready and just walk comfortably. That's nice. And of course, you tune it for your participants' level. As they get more advanced, you can talk to them about, you can walk, being mindful of weight transference and that sort of thing. But usually walking, just loosening up, getting ready, which is nice. Bill has a good way to making it nice and quick. Yeah, but when you have to do the full thing, I recommend you go to my DVD and and you notice with the instructional video, I only have 1 chance, so I do talk a little bit more. Whereas if you have participants, say less, just enough for people to follow because they can see you. And you can then add things later on because you have many times seeing them. Whereas with my video, I can't say too much or it overwhelm people. Talking too much, overwhelming. Talking too little is not enough to share. So I had to strike a balance. But you can stretch that. You have more flexible. The key is if you're not sure, don't say that. Just do it. But do it slowly so people can follow you. Number 3 is cooling down. Well, Kitty did that perfectly. So make sure everybody do it her way. Number 4, Darcy did it really well too. And again, I don't know if you ever notice it. I kind of infuse Sung style into Tai Chi for beginner. As you all comment about how it starts with the Qigong, the breathing, and how valuable that is. But essentially, they're all Sung styles, Qi Lu. That's the microscopic orbit, excuse me, and the open close. And so all that you can apply Sung style thing, but again, teach it 1 step at a time. Let people, you want your participant to feel they understand everything you say. So number 5 was probably most challenging, I guess. What I'd like you to do is go back and look at my instructional DVD, which is in stage 1 anyway. And you can see there was a reason behind everything. The stepping, how the foot down, how the weight transfer, and how I make every movement a complete set. So you start from beginning, separate your feet to do parting white horse's mane, and how we follow the principle of teaching one part at a time. So you start with the hands and the foot, and we start the foot already, so therefore you can do the hands. And also in the stage 1, the teaching example, showing participant, which is your instructor, your training, how to teach parting white horse's mane. That's actually pretty challenging. Think about it, trying to do the same so that your participant understand. Of course, they would have gone through stage 1 when they come to you. So please be very familiar with stage 1, and that including every steps. And then when you look at every step and do every step and think about it, you will realize, as some of you mentioned, there was a lot of thought into it. It looks so simple. It's not just the movement. I'm building foundations and teaching people one step at a time. So I'm making a very complex task be very simple. And if you follow step, keep in mind that you have more time than I have on the DVD. So you can make it even slower and make it more stepwise even. So
Did you want us to just lead or actually teach this section?
this session, over here, we just work together to get an understanding of how people do, and when you run the MT workshop, well, you use the same principle as you run the other MT training instructors, but the only difference is that essentially what you're going to teach are all in stage 1 really. If they follow stage 1 very well, they are good instructors already. It's all there. So then they give you opportunity to check them, to feedback, to help them. So you can work at your style. For me, I'm sure you all going to be okay. I just mention points that you can use for the training, and then this will be recorded. So you can go back and say, yeah, well, I didn't think of that point. Maybe I should go back and do a Pat Weber and just go through the thing before I was going to teach. So I get it very clear in my mind and understand why I constructed that way. Why is it constructed that way? So that's essentially my comments. Even for step number 6 is just doing 6, but it's good thing if you are, when you run your instructors training, you need to already know your position, where you are, and film yourself, so you're not going to step out of the picture, which is an extra skill with Zoom, but nonetheless, it's part of what we do. When we do it person to person, you want to make sure people can see you too. It's just that it's different perspective in Zoom. So so I think that was fun doing that.
I have a question, Paul, because I know somebody's going to ask me and I don't have an answer. When we do the stepping forward, we have the hands over the kidneys on our back.
Sorry, when we stay forward, you have.
There's here, and then when we're, why here?
Why here?
A rationale for that?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna ask.
Well, you can say that's a good position to do stepping forward. But what it is that the kidney zoo, the acupuncture point for kidney actually is where the kidney is. So if you put your hand there, the qi, according to ancient Chinese traditional medicine, comes from the kidney. So it enhances your qi and help your balance.
A way of enhancing qi, because I know somebody would say, well, that's not, they'll ask me a little bit further. So
Sorry?
why not do it with all of the movements?
Sorry?
Why not do it with all of the foundational movements?
Well, there's also a balance, and there's a reason to the others. Stepping forward is that balance you well, stepping forward, right? Whereas stepping backwards, it balances you better when your hands in the front. So it's a balance as well.
I just know it'll come up.
Sure.
And a simple answer is not going to do.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know. Lots of things in life is very simple. If you need more answers too, Tai Chi for Beginner in 24 form books provided just about anything that people can ask. I think, yeah, well, more importantly, know the steps and do the same thing. And that's always an opportunity to say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, but I'm sure the person who created this put a lot of thought in it. I will ask him if you really need to know. One of the things I learned when they trained me as a doctor to teach doctors was to understand that there are always going to be cases I cannot diagnose. There's always things I don't know. That's something not only you have to accept, but also have to work with it, because then you need to go back to your basic logic and reasons, and to say, well, it looks reasonable because even though I don't know what's wrong with him, but these are the appropriate measure to take. I'm sure similar with your training too. Okay, were there any other questions before we have a breakout group? Okay, great. So we're going to have two groups, and essentially you can just chat among yourself and practice number 6 together. And any questions, talk about it for, I would say, we'll just do 10 minutes and then we'll come back. And I will be coming to your group. There's only 2 of you. So if I'm not one, I'll be 2. So I'm going to create the breakout group and I'm going to put you there.
Coming to space front and closing. It took me a while to process that the connecting moves in Tai Chi for beginners come in at the end and they're not emphasized as much. That can come in the practice, I guess. But I really like that idea now. It takes so much pressure off the new students. So how did it feel, or what questions or thoughts do you all have?
I noticed Ian Edsel. You know how we're not supposed to turn on a weighted foot? So at the end, let's see, and you're placing your foot maybe it's not in a 90 degree, but I saw him turn, to straighten it as it, and that's okay. I just am curious about that.
Yes, you're right. You never move the weighted foot, so you have to get the foot in position first. And that's my understanding. Maybe Dr. Lamb wants to say something about that, but that's my understanding. Get the foot in the right place.
Absolutely, yeah. Some people find easier to put the weight on the heel and turn the toe. Some people find it easier the other ways fine. I think. that's
Okay,
fine.
so yeah, there's a little flexibility there.
Oh, lots of flexibility. Just the principles. The principles still the same. That's important to follow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I get it. I'll play.
Yeah, and so all your phones are really nice. If you have no more question, I'm going to watch out the other guys. Is there anything I can contribute before I go? Okay, have fun.
Thank
So,
you.
sure.
I'm still.
Begin, slowly step out. Lifting arms. Very good, very good. Comments? Hi, Paul.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you. How you going?
I think we did well. I'm not sure. We had fun. We've chatted a little bit. You know, we kind of wondered why you put all of us Southern people in the same room together, you know? No offense, Paul. I'm not saying you were targeting.
It essentially is very random, and you're going to change anyway.
I know that. Just kidding you, Paul.
Okay, it's okay.
So you have comments. You watched our,
came through my legs.
You watched our forum, Paul. What do you think? Comments?
Very nice. Yeah, I'm happy to see your balance getting better, and you're able to do more with your legs.
It's still struggling. The
can
ankle is
see that.
still, after the last surgery, where the ankle is still struggling some. But hey, I'm getting along.
Yeah, so keep working, mate. And yeah, that's good. Sometimes this hand here, make sure there's one face that this hangs here. Quite often I see hands going a little, not quite a full arch. I see like here at that face.
Ah, okay.
And higher up and too far away. There will be one face, it should be here. And then, so that would be part of the curve. You will find that really allow you to song if you follow that path. At one face here, and then the same, there's one face at yes, this way, and then turn. Just being mindful of that, that allow you to really song and balance. We'll do it together if you like. From here. Now turn back. So here is where the face, and then turn back. And now look forward and only then lift your foot. And then there's this position, but of course not stopping, but this is the step to go through to here again, the same way. You can find that really allow your joints to open up, really help the song. And looking forward before you lift your foot. That's really important for balance. And when you step back, as you step back here, whether you put your heel forward or turn your toe forward, it's okay. As long as you reach a stage where your toes are facing ground, then it's easier for you to come back. Yeah. Go back again, go back to the principle, just allow you to be more strong.
Very good. Thank you.
Any questions before I bring everybody back? So we have 1 minute, then we'll go back to.
Kitty, Richard, any comments or questions?
No.
Just kind of get that transition back to the closing.
Yeah, that's a little bit strange for me. I'm working on it, but.
I'll do that with everybody when we go back.
Okay.
That's kind of a point.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, Kitty, is because that if you watch on the video, when Ian is doing it with you on one video, he closes one way and you close another. So both of you do not actually have your feet exactly in sync. So I took it from that. It was probably okay if I just got around.
I think
But there
I
is that
agree.
little ball
I think you're
hold
right.
first before
Yeah,
the.
Yeah. Carrying the ball and then go back. That's kind of nice. Yeah.
It's kind of, I kind of make the same closing as I do in the.
If you need to.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it's okay, Darcy, yeah.
You're muted, Paul. On your
Sorry,
screen.
was there anything I need to know? Okay, well, the other group, we were talking about the closing from the last bit coming back. So
with the toe. Yes.
from here, what I do is I turn the right heel in, but whether you put your toe in or heel in,
Yeah,
okay.
that helps me.
Sorry?
Thank you. That helps me. Thank you so much. That's
Okay.
it. That's my
As
answer.
long as your toes facing forward, and then I think it's kind of nice to bring the ball and then step out. So
Yep,
instead of
that's
step
it.
in, that's close, carrying the ball, stepping out, and then you're ready to.
That's it. That's perfection.
I think that's what I did in my DVD.
Yes, you did. Okay. Okay. I just wanted my toe needed to get there first. It just needed to
Yeah, that's a nice, yeah.
Yeah,
get-
So, yeah, go on.
yeah, my comment, just as we were leaving the breakout room, is that, sometimes to keep consistency in the closing move, I sometimes close that move just like I close 24 form.
That's cool. I don't mind.
Yeah.
If it's totally okay for you to say, as long as you're comfortable with it, these variations, if anybody question you, you say, well, you are one of my master trainers and you like it this way. But they're welcome to do either way.
People usually in my class get quite a variety of ways to do things anyway.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's good to have different ways. But as long as the principle is there, you feel comfortable, the body is balanced and it's safe, those are the key things. And then I think whenever you fall back to the principle, it's a well balanced, it's my body strong, my and then it's the Tai Chi. So any questions? We need a break. We've been working really hard. So let's have 5 minutes off. Because you can stay here, but yeah, have a break for 5 minutes. Have different language without getting them mixed up and having them perfectly together. Whereas after 12, they lost their ability. So the way that you learn a new language at high school is actually not so effective. The way to teach different languages in primary school.
should have started them earlier.
Yeah, and they were able to have the different language concept, everything really well. So that's interesting. And the other thing about speaking, like speaking different language, is that after 14, unless you are incredibly talented, normally you cannot speak without an accent like mine. So every once in the blue moon, like doesn't happen a lot, somebody will write to me, Dr. Lam, how come you speak with an accent? Who doesn't speak with an accent? You can be texting accent, near accent, and I have to give them this bit of medical knowledge. After 14, what happens is your brain memory of the sound has fixed at 14. After that, it doesn't remember different intonation as well as before 14. So if I learn English before 14, I could do it without accent. I mean, to the local accent. But after that, so I learned my English when I was 18, way past that. Yeah.
And you had to learn another language at 13 when you met your parents again, right?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I used to think
imagine.
I have terrible language talent, but I'm just average, I think. There are people like my wife, my ex-wife, who have a real talent. They just have a way with intonation. And Hazel too is very good with language. But nowadays she has the brain problem, problem hearing. We should come back. Bill's still not back. I'm going to okay, we're just going to go ahead. Okay, so we're going to break up to the breakout group, and I'm swapping you, I'm swapping Pat and Bill to different group. Which one you go to, you be in different group. Oh, Bill, you come back, just miss the most important bit, but don't worry about it. And
Don't
helping
worry,
you.
Paul. I had my earbuds on. I could hear what you were saying if you were talking
Oh,
about
you
me.
did.
We were
Did I
talking
say
about
something
you.
bad about you? Okay, so when you do your presentation, the facilitator will nominate which topic you have, and you start with the topics on the schedule. I assume you all have, and you have 8 minutes. Essentially, it's just like what we do with master trainer training. Give an outline of how you're going to do things, and then play part of it in real time. And then 2 minutes for discussion. So in 30 minutes time, everybody should have a goal. Is that okay? And I will come to the group. I will just watch. Okay, you are now going to the groups. All you have to do is click join and you'll be in the group.
I just turned the heater off just a few minutes ago while we were on break. So I've
Yeah,
got it. Once I come down and close the door, I get it nice and toasty down here. So
It's
we've
cold
got
here.
so we got some presentations to do. Run through them quickly. It's just a brief version of what we would normally teach in a class. It says the facilitator is supposed to name, but I'd rather let you choose, and I'll take whichever one's left. It's up to you, whichever.
I don't care. You can choose for me. I don't care.
Okay, then why don't you do what is wellness and how does Tai Chi work? Beverly, you want to do safety? And then I will do, what's the next one? Effectively.
No, the presentation's how to bring Tai Chi for beginners to the world is what I have.
Wait a minute. You have what now?
How to bring Tai Chi for beginners to the world.
That's not what I have. Huh.
What I
Did we get it?
downloaded,
a-
did you revise it or something? So I don't know. So I guess.
I got mine in an email. Darcy, what do you have?
Yeah, I have what you have. What is wellness is the first one. The second one is teaching Tai Chi for beginners safely. And the third one is teaching Tai Chi for beginners effectively. So we're good.
Because I don't have the effectively. What do you have, Bill, for number 3?
I have teaching Tai Chi effectively.
Okay.
Oh, well,
That
we're
was the
used
first.
to it.
Yeah, that's all right. We can deal.
Be the second
We
one.
can deal.
Yeah.
We can deal with it. I think this came in an email message like yesterday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yesterday? Oh,
Yeah, it's more
this one was dated earlier.
Actually, I only sent out one lesson plan, which is a few weeks ago. I don't know what you have. That's not one of our topics. It's an
I
introduction. It's
Is
not
this
a lesson plan. Did I
is this
send it?
correct, Dr. Lamb?
Don't worry, Beverly. Just
Let's do it.
yeah.
I have a document that was an email message yesterday that's
I
actually got this on
didn't
it.
print that one out. I printed the old one out, so maybe that's what the difference is in my.
Yeah, that's the
expectation.
difference, I'm sure. I don't remember the old one that
Okay.
that he was talking about. So anyway, go for it, Darcy. What is wellness?
Okay, this is exciting. I would like to ask you what your opinion or thought of what is wellness, and you can just call it out popcorn style, and I'll write it down. We could talk about
Trainers work for wellness. And what I've also done, and I did have a large, I had 22 people, And I was conscious of wanting to save time. And I made it a relay. I put one easel sheet on one side and one easel sheet in front of the other side. There was an aisle down the middle and a marker to the first people in each clump of rows. They had to run up and jot something on the sheet, come back past the marker, the next, and it got them up and moving. It was after lunch. And that's really a good idea if people are getting bored or sleepy. And they liked it. It woke them up. They had to run back with the marker. I told them the side of the room that put the most things down would be the winner. So they went fast and they really filled it up with things for wellness. And then we discussed what are the most important ones. So I've done both of those depending on the size of the group and whether I want them to get up and be moving around and be active. And from there, okay, let's look at what we have on this. And what I'm looking for, where I would like the discussion to get to for this program, is that for exercise to be healthy, 3 basic components are necessary, and it's cardiovascular fitness, muscle strength, and flexibility. And then look at the features of this program that we would have usually discussed, earlier in the day, we discussed features of the program. So how is this going to work? Because we've already discussed how Tai Chi is good for cardiovascular fitness, even though we don't accelerate the heart rate. And I try to get them to discuss based on the sheets that I have up on the wall from the earlier discussions. And we know it's good for flexibility because if we keep moving those joints and those muscles, they'll be less stiff. So it's good for flexibility. And it develops muscle strength, and especially this program because it's yang style and it has slow weight bearing movements. So we are going to be developing muscle strength even while working in our comfort zone. And what else? What else have you noticed in our earlier discussions is what I would be pulling out from them. So that's the summary that I would use. So we can do, and that this program, what would have come out in features, I hope, and that I would emphasize, this part's usually after lunch, I think. So what I would be emphasizing is that this program also incorporates some basis in traditional Chinese medicine and theory about enhancing qi flow being great for health. And that if we can keep the qi flowing and keep integrating our inner self with our outer self and moving mindfully, all of that can help reduce stress, which will help keep inflammation under control or reduce it and improve our health, support good health. So, in addition, it's fun and people are staying in their comfort zones and not getting hurt. So they're going to keep doing it and come back for more. So the benefits are going to keep accruing. So how many minutes do we have left, Richard, for the real time part?
You got 3 minutes.
3?
Yes.
Okay, so for the 3-minute part, let's make believe that this is a smaller one that I'm doing on Zoom. So we're going to brainstorm it as one group, putting down what's important for wellness. What are some qualities that we think have to be there for someone to be well, and don't edit too much. It's brainstorming, so.
Okay, so Paul, how much time do we have left? We've kind of forgot to keep time.
I was going to ask you that question. Where are you up to?
We're at teaching Tai Chi. Well, it depends on how much time we have left.
I've gone, Beverly's gone,
Yeah, I'm
and
the only one that's left to present.
Have
Bill,
you
Any other
started yet?
topic? I haven't started yet. I was just getting to the point. That's why I was wondering about the time, how much time we have left in the breakout
Okay,
room.
I'll give you 10 minutes or maybe, 10 minutes from now.
Oh, I don't need 10 minutes, but that's okay. We can
Okay,
gossip for 10 minutes.
I'll give you 8 minutes then.
That's good. 8 minutes. I got you.
8 minutes from now.
8,
okay, I'll
yeah.
put the timer. I'm ready. I got my phone.
Okay, so
I'll give you a
teaching,
2-minute warning. Okay?
2-minute warning. Okay, thank you. All right, you're doing my job for me, Darcy. So I said I would do the teaching Tai Chi effectively, teaching Tai Chi for beginners effectively. Well, obviously, the effective teaching that we do for the Tai Chi for Health Institute is built around the stepwise teaching method. And I'll just kind of give you a little brief synopsis about how I start this off. And, I used to use, I always did use a flip chart whenever I'm running this session. I don't have mine out tonight, but, I would always start off this presentation about talking about Dr. Lamb's, his progress in finding different ways to teach Tai Chi, and a little bit about how that the stepwise method has evolved, and why we should use it, because it addresses the different learning styles that people have. And, go through and just a little bit of a synopsis about, being an effective teacher. I generally start the session out by asking people just to think of, that we've all had mentors, we've all had teachers that really had an effect on us in life. And I ask people to think about those teachers and what traits did they have that drew them to that particular mentor or that teacher. And then I tie that back to the fact that that's the traits that we want them to have in the Tai Chi classroom when they're a teacher. And then we get into the stepwise teaching method a little bit. And I always go through and I write the stepwise teaching method up, the title of it. And then to test their homework, I get some group interaction from them. So I ask them, what's the first step? So I start trying to get interaction from them. They obviously give me the first step, show me, I write the show me down, a few comments about that step. Okay, what's the next step? I ask somebody else in the group. They actually do that. So I go through all of the stepwise methods, okay, and all of the stepwise steps. And then we usually, if I've done my job well in demonstrating, I can do a real quick demonstration of the stepwise in teaching the one of the moves.
How to do that, or how to get that from our community. So I'm looking for a few more things here. What about the actual environment, inside, outside?
Handicapped accessible, safe to get in, good lighting, same thing indoors, no clutter.
Good.
So we only have 20 seconds left before your feedback, Richard, but we just got the 5-minute signal and Kitty still has to go. So let's do a minute of feedback and then Kitty can. Okay. I loved your relaxed manner, Richard. You had such a assured, relaxed way of doing that, it really pulled me into it. You could see I was feeling just like a participant in there.
I like that you actually broke it up into instructor, participant, environment ahead of time, because often, sometimes you'll only get a whole lot of one thing. But I like that you got us thinking in different directions. You kind of stimulated us in a way, in a direction, and then let us go with that. You weren't leaving it completely up to us. You just gave us a little push in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
That's right. That little bit of structure, it was good there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Good.
So now we're on to Kitty.
All of the things that I usually cover, you covered all the important bullets. So I think it was well done. So now, Kitty, you can do the overview on how you would do teaching effectively.
So the topic that we're going to be covering now is teaching effectively and what makes an effective teacher. So we're going to be looking at some of the characteristics of what makes an effective teacher, and we'll also be breaking up into groups of threes, and role play using the stepwise progressive teaching method. We will be also, I just completely went blank, sorry about that. And we'll be kind of reviewing a little bit about what the stepwise progressive teaching method is. And I'm sure you've all had a chance to look through your the chapter using the stepwise progressive teaching method, and we'll get a chance to role play that. So I want you to think for just a minute back to an experience you had with a teacher, and what were some of the things that made that individual a teacher that you really felt that you learned from. So just go ahead and throw out some ideas.
Kind.
Kind.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Able to present the material in different ways. Sometimes I would have trouble with it one way.
Great. So using different senses to cover material. Great. Richard?
Passionate.
Passionate. Enthusiasm. Yes, being passionate. Anything else?
Knows the subject.
Yeah, you definitely want somebody who you feel confident that what they're presenting is something that you actually want to learn, and you feel like it's got some value. Anything else?
You know, there's just so many, really. Just being prepared is one.
Yeah, being prepared.
Making it fun.
Making it
yeah.
fun. Yes. So a big part of Dr. Lamb's programs is the teaching effectively. We know that Tai Chi is the art of doing, but teaching is also an art. And the way that the stepwise progressive teaching method works is that it's presenting the material, as Pat pointed out, using lots of our senses. So we're really teaching the learner's way. We're teaching by using auditory, we're using visual, we're showing the whole movement before we start to break it down into small pieces that are easier to learn. So there's been lots of studies about the most effective way to teach, and this program uses those effective ways to teach in teaching our Tai Chi forms. So then what we do next.
So yeah, because there's only a minute left, Kitty, so you could just tell us about it instead of
I would tell you what your roles were going to be in the role playing, that everybody would get to do that. I would tell what the movement was going to be that they would be teaching. If I had enough time, I might actually kind of present that a little bit better. So when they went into their groups, they would have a better idea of what they were doing. And then I would tell them that we would come back and we would talk about the experience after.
So now we have, yeah, so some feedback, because, and then we have to leave. Yeah, so I don't know, we were watching the timer, we were following the timer, but we ran a little short. Feedback, Richard.
Yeah, I can tell very well that she knows her subject, and she's very interesting to listen to. And so, yeah, I knew exactly where she was going with it. So it was great.
Yeah, I like how you brought the senses into it too, and touched, reminded us all of that. And it does sound like you have a good way of introducing the SPTM exercise in there.
Well, I had all my sheets up here, but I didn't get a chance to set them up. But yeah, and I just need practice.
This.
Welcome back. How are we doing? Can you hear
We're
me?
doing great.
Okay, it's interesting. The two groups have different timing. I think Bill's a little more snappy. That this group more stick to the time, I think. Pat's group just a little bit behind timing. So Kitty didn't have a lot of chance to say all she had to do. That's okay.
Yeah, so I think it's on me because I was following the lesson plan we got a couple of days ago where it said 8 minutes and then 2 minutes for feedback. And we were sticking to that, but I guess there was something in Dropbox. That might be where I missed it. I don't know, but some people had something a little different, but I didn't know the time was different. So that was on me. I
No,
apologize.
It was the same plan. They used the 8 minutes, 2 minutes feedback, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. Timing,
Yeah.
time is a difficult thing. When I run an in-person workshop, I always use my phone and I do timing.
That is what we did. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Aliens came. We were abducted by aliens in the middle.
Or maybe Bill's group is too efficient. They jumped in. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
I'll tell you what, those same aliens came and visited us too, because we had two different schedules of what was supposed to be talked about, what the main talk was supposed to be about. I forgot to keep time. Paul comes in, we're just having a lovely chat, and all of a sudden we just got totally lost and didn't know what we were supposed to do next. So, but we got through.
Okay.
He's the one that put me back on track. I'm pointing this way because he's down there.
Oh.
Bill make it very clear. It's all my fault. That's fine.
That's right,
I can
Paul.
take it.
We're going to blame you anyway.
So seriously, going back to the work, I think stage one changed a lot of things. It depends. If you're going to run a stage one, the focus is slightly different. You're more focused at checking and ensure the participants has actually done stage one because it's all there. If they really did it, do all the exercise, then they done it already. You just make sure that they know. And therefore, it's more watching than talking. Even in the in-person, still our focus is to allow people to talk, to go to groups, to think, to work it out, rather than telling them everything, because it's in the material that is available anyway. But stage one is even more so. You take them through every step. If you go through it again, you'll notice it's really like the way I run the workshop. So already done that. The problem is people listen and they didn't do the exercise I asked them to do in stage one with the instructors, and they didn't come away with it because they think, oh, I know that, I don't need to do it. When I asked them, do the teaching exercise, take yourself, compare yourself with me, look at the differences. If they done that, they would have. That's right. So the slight difference is more checking, but nonetheless, if you do the in-person, it's still similar, but you would do a little bit more talking as a master trainer, but they still need to check in and see that they understand what it's about. Otherwise, yeah, it's with the master trainer in-person workshop is more stimulating thinking, stimulating thought. With if you do it online, after people prepare with stage one, then you want to ensure they did do the job. And you can tell just by the way they're presenting whether they've gone through stage one properly or not. So that's the main difference, bear in mind, but essentially the end product is the same. That you want to be sure that instructor is safe and effective instructors before you certify them.
Paul, your
Anyway.
static is getting, your static is getting really bad again on your microphone. The static that Evan was talking about, is
Mm.
anyone else hearing that besides me?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, whenever we take our break, you might check all your connections and everything, because you still got something that's coming through the microphone.
Okay.
And not right now. Like, I think it might be movement related or something. I'm not sure. It's at certain
Well,
times.
it was doing it right then, and he was sitting
Yeah.
still. Go
But
ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll take it again. Go ahead, Ed.
I wanted to just add in, from an administrative point of view, now that we've had, or I've had a little bit of time on the stage 1, stage 2, and some of the other programs, and I think everybody here has helped out in some of them. And what we see when we're working with people is the people who hadn't submitted their stage 1 yet, but they said they were almost done, and we let them take the workshop. They're the ones who are a little bit of a struggle, and sometimes we weren't able to certify them after the stage 2. They needed extra time. So I just wanted to emphasize how important that is, and that in the stage 2 live interactive, they really need those things that we can interact with them on. And it includes a little bit of forms revision and correction too. If they didn't get something right off the video, we have to make sure we have enough time for that. So to get everything in, it's hard. You can't do all 4 speaking topics in one day and have time to do forms revision unless they already have done stage 1 and they have it in their head, and we just kind of stimulate them to sum it up and discuss it a little bit. It's just so important. And in this program, I think it's really, really important that we emphasize the structure of it, those 6 steps, to include the overall warm-ups, to include the stretching warm-ups, the Qigong, to include breathing and instruction on Dantian breathing, as well as a movement in class. It's really important that people get that, I think, in the beginning, because I know I didn't totally get it, and now I see how much better that's going to make it. It makes it more interesting for the participants too, who will be in the classes, to have those bits in there. I just wanted to give my opinion.
Yeah, definitely people who haven't prepared is a problem we have with in-person workshop before and now. That's always a problem, in the sense that if they didn't send their completion certificate, it's less of a problem because you're not going to certify them until they've done it. And you know that they haven't finished, so you take more care of it. The problem is the people who cheat through the certificate. They didn't quite do it, but they tick and get through it. And then if you don't check them, then they might not be quite ready at all. You can cheat, of course, they're just software. So yeah, but that's rare. Most people do it because they're enthusiastic. But again, just to maintain a reputation, you need to be vigilant in the people who give you the certificate, but they didn't do it properly. That's also need to take care of. Bill want to say something.
Yeah, I have a question. Going back to the first of what Pat was talking about, when people are going through the stage 1, how many people here have run a stage 1 workshop, stage 1, stage 2 workshop, TCA or whatever, TCA, a couple of you? How many of you, when you get, when you get the notice that someone has started their work on stage 1, there's a link there that lets you look at a spreadsheet. Now I have a request, and this relates to what I sent you the message about the other day, Paul, is that on that spreadsheet, it would be nice to know the percentage of completion for each of those individuals in stage 1. So I have people who spend plenty of time going through it. I have plenty of people that wait till the last 2 weeks or the last week to start it. They're always the ones that struggle. But if I had on that spreadsheet a percentage of completion, it should be really easy to do because the online lessons tells you every time you log into one, if you're completing a course like that. So that's in the database. You should be able to pull that, put that in that spreadsheet. Dino could probably make that change very quickly. And to me, that would be valuable information because I hound people to death whenever I'm doing these classes. Have you started the video yet? Are you studying the DVD? Have you started stage one? How far along are you? You know, and I know they get tired of hearing from me, but this would give me an idea of who's struggling, who's not working, and if they start it tomorrow and they're done the next day, then yes, Paul, that's some of the ones that do cheat. And there are some people who do that. That's the reason I was wanting to say that. And do you think that's a good idea, Pat, Kitty, Darcy, if you've run workshops, do you use that spreadsheet?
I've never known that there was a spreadsheet, so that's useful to hear, because one of the things I do is find out when they access phase one. And if I know
that's it.
I mean, it's like, okay, you haven't accessed it, so I start bugging them. And then I've even called people and found out they misunderstood what was included in phase one. So yes, it's
all I'm asking is for a tool. Yeah, all I'm asking is for a tool to be able to track their progress.
Yeah.
And there is a spreadsheet on that same message that comes to you that says they've started stage one.
Yeah.
There's a link. There's a second link on that message that takes you to a spreadsheet of all of the participants that have registered. Go back and look at one of them. Okay, you can go find them in the past. That spreadsheet's out there from your past history of whoever has accessed your stage one training. Paul, this is something obviously I bet not too many people know how to use. That's a point that we need to take. Pat, you need to take that point.
Sure. Bill, I hear what you're saying, and I'm forwarded to Dino. That's outside my department.
I understand that. I'm just
okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I look at it is I don't know the spreadsheet. I don't look at spreadsheets, but I look at participants. I know whether they prepared or not.
You do not see the participants until the day of the stage 2 workshop. If I just had a percentage of completion from the time they start up until my stage 2 workshop, that would be very helpful to me. If I'm the only one, I drop the case.
Look, Bill, I just say I heard what you say, and I'm forwarded to Dino.
Yeah,
I'm just presenting another case. People like me who wouldn't really want to look at spreadsheets. I just want to look at people. When I look at the people, I know they prepare or not. I don't see, no, sorry, don't shake your head. I don't see all the participants, of course, because I have you guys look at them. There's 100 of them. That's different. But when I run a workshop, Zoom or otherwise, if it's just me and the participant, I would know. First of all, whether they have a certificate or not, and then I will see everyone, I would know whether they've done it or not. Just like you would know when you go through your breakup group, you will know who did it or not when you watch them. Like now, I look at all you, the 6 of you, I would know when you do things, how much you have prepared. So what I'm saying is, sure, everything helps, and I do my best to provide whatever you need. But on the other hand, that's what we do as master trainer. When we look at people, part of that is to check, have they done it? Just like you're in person. If you ask people to run the teaching, the role playing, you know whether they done it or not, whether they competent or not. Ed?
So I hear your concerns, Bill, but I'm going to propose, I'm going to ask you to think a little differently, because I'm thinking out of an education background and an educational assessment background. And what I have learned is don't ask for information if you don't know what you're going to do with it, and analyze, what am I going to do with this? And what you're proposing about using, I didn't know the sheet was available. It's really interesting. So I have to think more about that. What could I use it for? But I know that for me, what that says, if I'm using that to calculate readiness, that might not be accurate. It might be more about somebody's time schedule. Maybe, I don't know, you know, is that a correct assumption that that's readiness? So here's what I do. I schedule one of those every month. I have, and I've been getting 4 people or more in each one. Sometimes I have 8, but I do get people every month. I've been putting one in every month, and sometimes somebody writes to me or I write to them. I say, oh, you know, it's 2 weeks away and you haven't opened your stage 1. I do have another one coming next month. If you think you're not going to have possibly 20 hours to spend on this. So they either light their own fire and get it done, or they do ask me if they can transfer into next month's. And the other thing that I do is I schedule 10 days prior, and I have it written into the description usually, that 10 days before the stage 2, excuse me, they have to come to a half-hour tech and set check. And they don't know what I mean by set, but what I don't mean their setting. Yes, we check their lighting, that they can work the Zoom controls, but then I say, we meet each other, and then I say, let's all get up and do the form. And there, some faces go, you know, and then I know they have been skipping that part of stage 1. They've been going too fast through the practice, but we all get up, and then I say, oh, in fact, I'm going to turn my camera off so all of your squares get bigger. And then they are alone, you know, they're on Zoom in their own little square, and I don't criticize, I don't say anything. I just say, this will give me an idea of where we're starting. They can tell, they see that it has only happened rarely, but once or twice there was somebody who clearly didn't even know the order of the moves, and they saw it. And one lady wrote to me, she said, wow, everybody else knew what they were doing, but I'm going to practice really hard all week, and I think I'll be much better by the workshop. Because they see it, and I don't say anything. I just say, okay, thank you. I put everything back on, we cool down, and I tell them that I'll see them at the workshop. And if they were uncomfortable or didn't know the order of the moves, then to go back to the online course, you have access. Anyway, because some people, we can't assume that everybody's going to work through it at the same pace. So just keep that in mind, that the form, it's interesting there is such a form, but I'm not sure we can accurately use it for that reason. But you might want to do just a half-hour Zoom 10 days prior, and that gets them a little bit more ready by the time of the workshop.
Yeah, and the problem I have with that is that I usually have 15. I've had as many, my first Zoom workshop that I did in TCA, I had 20 people. If I tried to schedule a 30-minute session 10 days before the workshop on a spur of the moment thing and say, oh, by the way, and it may be I could put it in the schedule, and you know, I could say you have to do this, but there's going to be, out of the 20 people, there'll be 10 email messages that will come back to me and says, oh, I can't meet on that day. I've got to do something else. Can we do it another day? Then I've got to do 2. If I just,
I have them too. Yeah, sometimes I have them.
Granted, I admit that tool that I'm asking for would not work for everyone's progress. If a master trainer doesn't even know the spreadsheet exists, they obviously don't know the value that it can actually be to you because you haven't used it. I tend to use the tools that the system gives me. Paul has worked very hard. Dino has worked very hard. You know, there are tools out there that are useful to us if we just learn how to use them. That's one tool that would be useful to me. But like I
But
say, you know,
progress, how does progress through it help you? Does it matter if they finish a week before the workshop, or if they
I
finish
don't-
a month?
well, if they finish a month before the workshop, then they stop practicing. They've forgotten the things they got from the stage 1 DVD. Okay. If I have somebody that starts it, you know, and I usually post my workshops 1 or 2 months, at least 2 months in advance. And I have people sign up immediately. As soon as I see their payment, I send them the link. Some people will start it the same day they get the email.
Right.
And then they come to the stage 2 training 6 weeks to 2 months from then. And, you know, even though I've sent emails and said, practice, practice, where are you in the progress? You know, they show up at the stage 2 live training, and that's the first time I get to see them. I get to see them. Pat, you do get to see them 10 days before the way you're doing it. But for me, Paul, that's the first time I get to see them. For you, Paul, that's the first time you get to see them. Okay, is the time they show up at your Zoom workshop. They've been starting stage 1 and working on it all this time. If I just had an idea, if I see somebody start it today and they complete it 3 days from now, they cheated. Okay. But if I see somebody making just average progress a little bit at a time, I know they're working, at least I assume they're working through it. It won't tell me everything, but it could tell me a lot. Anyway, that's my case. I
Yeah,
have this all, you know, yeah.
They might not have cheated. Maybe they had 3 days off and they were working on it and they already knew Young style, you know, I don't know.
And if they showed up for the workshop and when I first laid eyes on them, they knew the form, then that's where I know I was wrong.
Right.
But if they show up for the workshop and they don't have a clue what they're doing, then they didn't go through stage 1. They just got the completion certificate and sent it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So does the form matter?
And yeah. Anyway, I'd be glad to get a one-on-one with you, Zoom, and share it with you, Pat. Share a screen with you, show you the spreadsheet, you know, and I'll tell you what my assumption is that I could use it for.
Yes.
You know, Beverly didn't know there was a spreadsheet. You know, Darcy, did you?
Yeah. I'm sorry,
I am
Bill.
planning. I haven't
Let
done
me-
it yet. I'm planning one, so, but I have
I'm
not.
sorry.
Okay, I'm taking up too much
Let
time.
me say something. I heard what you say, Bill. And with your skill, your special skill in computer, you're using that skill to enhance your ability as a master trainer. That's great. What I'm trying to say is that not every master trainer have a computer skill as Bill. And that does not exclude us from being an effective master trainer. Use whatever tool that you have to facilitate it. But at the end of the day, every master trainer need to look at each participant at some stage to make sure they are competent. In
And
my
we do.
case, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I said, and we do.
And that's really at the end of the day, whatever tools you have, at the end of the day, you look at the person you are, that's what our training is. You will be able to decide whether the person has fulfilled the requirement to be a safe, effective instructor. And if you're not sure, then you just have to spend more time to ensure they are. However, you know, then each master trainer can use whatever tool that help them to reach that conclusion quicker. But at the end of the day, whether you know database or not, you still need to look at that person finally and have that personal assurance that the person is. So Beverly, you can learn the database, it will help you, but if you don't use it, you still have the skill to decide the person who's competent.
I think the point is that Bill's trying to make, and it played out in my last workshop as I hadn't anticipated. but that wanting to make sure that people do come prepared to the workshop so that the running of that workshop can be facilitated more easily. This last one I had, obviously, there were a number, the majority of people hadn't worked very much on different pieces. I was doing the TCA, the form, and that workshop was quite painful for me because people were not prepared. And that's just the difference of one, whether they can be passed and are successful to be certified versus whether in fact they're actually prepared enough so that they can engage and the group can engage well during the Zoom workshop. I think that's the distinction that's being made.
It sure does make that end of the day look at them. If they're prepared when they come in, I agree with you, Beverly. I've had those painful workshops. And it sure does make the end of the day a lot easier on me if they are. And I just look for tools that would help me to at least get an idea of who's coming along and who's not. If I have somebody that starts it, the 6 weeks before the workshop, and they show up at the workshop and they're not ready, if I had that, at least had that completion indicator along the way, that would help me know that they're not prepared. They don't have to know I've got that. Okay. It just helps me to understand the individuals.
But it does have some impact on the workload. So we do ensure people that we will make sure that they're successful.
Absolutely.
The individual Zooms, sometimes I'm quite surprised at what I find. And this last workshop I had 4 people that required several Zooms.
Hey man, I'm running a workshop. I'll call you later.
But I'm just saying it has more to do, it has something else to do with the workload.
Understand.
Okay, we're going for a break. Let's do a 10 minutes break. Okay, that's it's always a challenge, whether Zoom or in person. It's always a challenge in balancing who's effective and safe. And the most, I think in all over the world, the strictest training and strictest assessment would be the doctors. I guess doctors have so much chance of hurting people or helping people. And I can see among my classmates, most of the doctors are fairly safe and effective, but you still get some dangerous doctors who got registered. In fact, one of my colleagues who I know personally, and I thought he was okay. He turned out to be a pretty dangerous doctor. He eventually got deregistered. And I thought, looking at him, when he was a student like me, I didn't think there was anything wrong with him. But so there is no way we have that sort of standard in what we do, but we don't need to either. In Tai Chi, if you teach, the program is designed to be safe and effective. And when you're being careful, we have reasonable chance to assess people. And where do we draw the line? I mean, the stage 1 is designed to give people even more personal tool for them. If they go through it and do the exercise I recommend, that will really help them. And then if they don't cheat and do all the exercise and be happy with themselves, they complete that completion certificate. That gives us a pretty good indication that they put enough work in it. But of course, there's other tools that can help us to assess things better. Sure, we'll do our best to make that available. And so what Bill says, I'm working with our designer to provide more detailed database. But on the other hand, for me, eventually it still comes to the end that you have to look at everyone and to decide if they're safe enough. Okay, Pat, can you unmute yourself?
Just realized that, sorry. Honestly, in the field of education is where so much time is spent on how can we truly assess, because it takes one person longer to read the book. If they're real slow reading the book, as long as they have it done by the deadline, sometimes they have an even better understanding than the student who maybe read it real quickly. So we have to think carefully about what are we going to do with information, because if I know in school, they started testing kids for all different things, but how much of that was really useful to me? And teachers learn, you assess in all fields, we assess, and we have people who make mistakes or unsafe in every field. But how can we assess? And is the rate or the speed or when they're doing it the most effective? And maybe it is, or maybe it's the easiest way for a trainer to work with it, and that's fine. But I know my own experience in teaching all different subjects, the speed that somebody did it in, it wasn't always the indicator of how well their grasp was, how much the concepts did they have.
And Pat, interestingly, the vast majority of Tai Chi teachers out there don't have education like what we've gone through, don't have a system to follow, and don't understand how to teach safely and effectively. Our instructors are way ahead, all things considered, and our master trainers are really well trained compared to relevant practical sort of training. Anyway, that's going back to what we do as a master trainer. I'm going to press on to do the Tai Chi for this one, and I think if we have 30 minutes, we should finish the next part of the training. That's the next presentation. Make it 35 minutes, and I'm going to. I think I already switched the. So, I think, Bill, did you have Darcy last time?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to room 2 instead, and Pat will go into room 1 again. Okay, then, is that right? So
Yeah,
Pat
so
would
we
have
go-
Darcy this time.
Yes. Are we going into rooms now or
Yeah, let's
the 30?
let's do the next presentation. Okay, the first is teaching first part of parting white horses mane. Is that the lesson plan you have? And the second one is incorporating Tai Chi principle. And third one is what is Tai Chi, the feature of this program. So
And the practice, the 24 forms is if we have time when we come back.
yeah,
Okay.
that's a bit of extra curriculum. All right,
Okay.
so we're going to all the rooms and work on the schedule. We'll come back in 35 minutes.
Going to introduce to you parting the wild horse's mane. It's a beautiful move and flowing, but I'm going to turn this way and walk toward you on my mini railroad track here. I'm going to just show you what it's going to look like. Just watch and enjoy and get the feel of this move. So I'm going to start with our commencement like we're used to.
Live next to the river, the Mississippi River. And since I grew up on the Mississippi River too, it was a nice reminder of that river and how it relates to the principle. And also talking about how Tai Chi is an exercise, but what makes it different from other exercises is the incorporation of the principles. So I enjoyed your presentation.
Very good. I like
I,
that. Paul, you had-
I have a
Sure.
observation that is, of course, we can, there's a difference between internal, in person, but you can also incorporate it. So assuming people done stage 1, otherwise they would have, if it's in person, they would have learned the principle from the DVD anyway. Then do you, in your workshop, do you go through the principle again, like in a different way as mine or a copy of mine? Or do you actually just talk to them and see what people got and see if you can help them? Perhaps that would be like Richard, giving people an imagery that they can associate with, and that worked really well with Kitty. They're talking about feeling from the river. I mean, in a workshop with the instructors, in a way, you might not have to do the same thing again. You just need to hear if they understand or know where to look for more of that. Does this make sense? What I'm
It
saying?
does make, yes, Paul, it does make sense. You know, one of the things I do, and I know it's a repeat from stage 1 now, I'm going to come to Richard's defense because Richard doesn't do Zoom workshops. And it sounds like you're kind of wanting us to target this as a Zoom workshop rather than a live in-person MT workshop. So I defend him because he doesn't do Zoom. Okay. Hang on. Let me get off. Let me get my timer stopped here. He doesn't do Zoom. But anyway, one of the things I do, and it is a repeat, is that about a week before my stage 2 workshop, or I do this as well if I'm running a live workshop, I send the YouTube video that you have where you talk about the principles just as a review. And then when I cover it in my stage 2 workshop, I do pretty much what you're saying. I just kind of brief over them. But then when I go through my practice session, yes, they should know them. And I can bring maybe a certain principle like the slow, smooth, continuous movement into a short section of the poem. And then I add another principle and say, let's think about this one. And Richard did a great job in which I have asked you exactly the same thing. How do you incorporate all of the principles at the same time when I'm doing my Tai Chi? And I can't. You told me one time I didn't practice enough because I couldn't do that. And then you laughed and said, no, I can't do it either. So, you know, so, you know, you do the principles when you can think about them. I like that, Richard.
Okay, I'm going to leave you guys and go to the next. How much time do you have? I think
I don't know. You're the
you should move on
timekeeper.
to the next. Okay,
We got one topic to do.
who's doing the last one?
Oh, who do you think, Paul?
You again?
I can
All
make
right.
it short or I can make it long. Go check on the
Yeah,
progress of
look,
the other group.
Bill, you're
Can
so
I ask
experienced, you
one
can
quick
make it short.
question? Can I ask
Sorry?
one quick question? Has anybody done the Zoom, the stage 1, stage 2 with a live stage 2 day?
No, I have not.
But that's okay to do, right?
Well,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can do
I'm
it
a-
any combination. At the end
I'm
of the
gonna tell
day, you just have to make sure everybody is safe and effective.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, can you do it for 6 minutes including
Oh.
feedback?
Give me three, Paul, and I'll be done. No,
No,
I'm just kidding.
right?
Yeah, 6 minutes. 6 minutes
Yep.
works. We got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
see you.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say that for my
Back a little as you turn, and that just promotes the sense of the joint loosening. So I really like how you were matching a principle to a movement, Bev. That was great.
How you doing, Pat?
All of them.
Are you near can you finish in 5 minutes?
Yes, we shortened out time on each person. Thank you. So I'm the last person this time. So let me change the time on the timer. Okay, and mine won't take as long. So I'm on the topic, what is Tai Chi and the features of this program? And that one usually comes early on, the beginning of the date of that day of stage 2. So I put it up on the top of a board, and even on Zoom, sometimes I share that whiteboard like we did earlier so that I can write in. Now, I will say my feeling is that with Tai Chi for beginners, this one could be a little more dangerous because there might be a lot of people who have an extensive background in traditional Tai Chi, and I don't want to lose a lot of time on all of their definitions. So I try to keep it pretty direct. And I think I would refer back to something in the material, like what do you remember from your stage 1? Who wants to define Tai Chi for us? And jot down what they say. And if nobody says it right away, I have to keep the workshop moving there in the beginning, the first teaching point. So I'm probably a little more pedantic with this topic. So I define it and explain that it's also often seen as Tai Chi Chuan, that it started as a martial art for self-defense, and today it's usually defense against inflammatory conditions and chronic disease. We're doing it more for health, and especially in this program. And that there are 3 major styles. So I use the same nuggets that we use in the other programs on what is Tai Chi, and then features of this program. Anybody remember what style it's based on? What style Tai Chi are we using? And if they did stage 1, they all know, they should know. Otherwise, I'll try to give them hints. But anyway, that it's Yang style, but that it also incorporates Qigong. It incorporates breathing. It is based on the 6 steps, using overall warm up, using our stretching, using breathing techniques for Qigongs, and our teaching method of breaking things down into more manageable pieces. So we're going to focus on some foundation movements so that people can feel confident, develop ease, and be relaxed, and get to love Tai Chi, have fun doing it. So the bullets from that would make up my feature. I usually try to only put 6 features there, that it is based on 6 easy steps, but it also incorporates breathing, Qigong, based on Yang style, easy and fun to learn, simple for beginners. So that would be my approach. I'm kind of accelerating it here to keep it in the I have a minute left and then open for feedback. But I would try to be a little more didactic with this one because they should know this, having done stage 1. So it's kind of a guided discussion, and I might be typing it onto a shared whiteboard or not, depending on the group, how many people we are and what my sense of it is. It's so that would be me, and there's just 30 seconds left on me giving you the overview of that. So let's go to feedback.
Yeah, would you do any breakout sessions?
I don't do the breakouts on what is Tai Chi and the features of the program. If it's a small enough group, I just listen to the group.
So that's a way of at least getting people involved, at least on Zoom, feeling comfortable to contribute, because it ends up being a group discussion instead of something that's
Mm.
happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
yeah. I don't
that-
just lecture. I ask them, what do they remember from
I
stage?
know, but I'm just saying that's important to do,
Right.
and it's a way of making people comfortable so they contribute later on.
Yeah,
Right.
you're absolutely right, Beverly. This is a chance to involve people. Like Pat says, they already seen it, already look at the videos. They should know all that. So it will give you a chance to gently see who knows what style it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not a crucial part. Just make sure they understand the questions or those test questions. So you can just chat and get people involved in Zoom. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like warming them up.
But you don't send them away for breakout.
Them back to the stage one too. It's activating, we call it activating prior knowledge, but yeah, it will connect them back to what they did in stage one.
There's a
Yeah.
name for it. Okay. Remember that.
Yeah, oh, good. And 1 minute left. So we got everybody, we got all of ours in. Yeah, so that's how I do it. Did I leave out any features?
That it seamlessly ties into the, do you want to add that, the 24, the most popular 24
Oh,
form?
right. Yes, that's right. That there's because people can go on. That's right. That's a really good point, Darcy. That they can go on and practice the 24 forms if they like it.
Lifelong cultivation of health that way, and Tai
Yeah.
Chi skills.
Right, that's a really good point. Yeah, so I think it's time, almost
job.
time.
Yeah.
If
You got
when
two
he's-
questions. So has my sound better? Do I still have quite close?
No,
Nope,
no
not
problem.
Good.
Good.
The mic, yeah, the mic's fine.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Yeah. All this equipment. Welcome back, everybody. Did they have fun?
We did.
Yes, I always have this question. Okay, it's less so for in-person workshop, but with Zoom, if people gone through the stage one, well, what are you doing? Because you only have half the time. Do you go through what I say, or do you just ask questions and allow people to tell you how much they know? So maybe you need to allocate a bit more time to listen and less time in speaking. And when it's speaking, perhaps you can assume people already done that, and you might just talk about the highlights or summaries rather than repeat what I did. And if people look puzzled, then you say, okay, go back to stage one.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
In our group, we mentioned the problem on the principles because we only have one day, to review things. And the light bulb went off for me as Beverly was explaining how she would do that, and that she would start right away in the warm up. Well, and putting it in what is Tai Chi, that the same principles are common in all the styles. And then from there, when you do the warm-ups, just picking one principle for a warm-up, one principle when she does forward stepping, to accent the principle that has the most to do, like moving against a gentle resistance in the stepping, or posture in the warm-ups. So that was a really good thought, that because it is after they've done stage one, so we can weave it in a little bit from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's a good way. Certainly to bring it in. For as far as I'm concerned, the important part of the principle is really for people to know the real Tai Chi is about principle, and all the principles are on the original DVDs anyway, and certainly being repeated on stage one as well. So it's there, it's not difficult. it's just that it's important for people to try to work on it to get the enjoyment and get the advancement. So it's more, for me, emphasizing the importance of principles, and then you don't really have to go through formally. And certainly when you do warm up, or like you were talking about what Darcy's saying, that bring out one or two to just show people why it's important. And then people can grow within that. I mean, it's beginner, and even even very advanced people who have done Tai Chi for many years do not understand it. I think I told this story before. I was in Singapore and I was teaching Tai Chi for arthritis. And when I talk about principle, which is relatively short, and all this, that class was all Tai Chi teachers, 50 of them, most of them full-time Tai Chi instructors, and most of them Chinese. Some of them teach longer than me. And half of them got up and get a pen and pencil to write it down. And I was really curious. Look, you know, you must know that. So, and what they told me is that, yes, they know that, but they never really know what it means.
I don't know what it means
Right.
and how it
Well,
translates to the form. Oh, amazing.
you can talk about it, but you don't know what it means. That way.
That was my experience. And I think I told Paul a long time ago, I would go to other people's workshops before I met Paul. I would go to other Tai Chi trainings and they would mention a principle. And one man who is published and he's retired now, fairly well known, but he said, and I'll answer questions at break. So I waited online, gave up my tea break to wait. And I asked him, I said, I don't understand joint loosening. What does that mean? And he looked at me, he said, I can't answer that in a weekend workshop. Next. and then I asked my traditional Tai Chi teacher in Pittsburgh, I said, what is joint loosening? He said, you're not ready for that yet. Come back next year and ask me, which now I know means he didn't know and he was going to try to find out in a year. And I told him a long time ago.
Explanations by traditional teachers that I did the same thing. I asked some very famous teachers, and they say, "Oh, you're all interested in these things." Brush you off. Talk about it later. Yeah, but the thing is, maybe they think it's too simple. I mean, they do. There are people who show they understand, but they just didn't sort of understand how to explain it, because most of the principles are written in very beautiful, authentic, older Chinese texts. That sounds very poetic, but it's not precise. No, you need a doctor to analyze it and make it precise and like simple, but it's true. So yeah, anyway, I was impressed that I write it down, and I was just thinking what Beverly was saying, that one of your teachers was saying that you have the best understanding, because
Of the principles.
Yeah.
And it's interesting is he never talked about principles in any of the workshops that I attended in Gainesville. So I understood them, but he never taught them to people.
So as most of the teachers are going through, I have to push them, and sometimes they would bring up the classical text, which I can read. So it is. The difficult part is really to really test it and feel it, to understand exactly what it is. And you know, it's just like, I think you all heard of the story about the caught dead syndrome. The kids, you know, there's a condition, we call it caught dead. That's it. Babies, there's a number of babies who die in the cot when they're sleeping. And extensive study over many years, couldn't find out what is the reason of it. And eventually, one very clever researcher uses common sense, and he think, is this because they like the baby face down? That was it. And he did research and studied thousands of cases, and that was the cause. And I think all pediatricians know now, or midwife know, you don't like the newborn baby face down. And I used to do that. They used to advise us, pediatricians used to advise us, little baby don't found face down. Common sense tell him it's that simple, but he needs scientific studies. He needs funding to study thousands of babies to prove to the world that he's right. And he was. And it changed the world. He saved so many babies' lives. And I just, whoa, that's what I used to do with my kids. Fortunately, they're okay. I mean, it doesn't happen to every baby, of course, but there are just a small number of babies, and that was the reason. And if you think about it, it makes sense. It's not strong enough to turn, so the pillow might be too heavy and they suffocated. That's simple. Yeah, so sometimes the most profound things in life is most simple. So I love the mysteries of Tai Chi, and I do put a lot of work on it, but also there are also a simple way. It's just that what it gets mysterious is as you grow, as you practice more, and the feeling in you change, the internal feeling, the feeling of Qi, and the way it affects the mind, that change, and you get deeper understanding. But the basic principles are very simple. It's just that, yeah, just that it takes lifetime to unfold it, but it doesn't, yeah, you just have to be confident and voice right. That's it. Song is just loosening, opening your joints from within. Okay, well, I think the next thing we should do is I'm going to try to do a photo. So if I say 1, 2, 3, give me a big smile, and
Let me fix my hair, Paul.
I'll put some hair on your head. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I can Photoshop anything. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I can't do that with one hand because my hand got to press on the. I hope I did the right thing. Let's do an open close. No, that's not open close. Let's do, it's on the Qigong. Let's do this one, more typical of, okay, I only do it in one hand. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And smile one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, photo taken. I thought if we can sort of have a chat and we have some time to practice 24 form together, or I can watch you guys and give you some feedback. But let's just do the go through the what have we done and what can we do differently. What's our goals? Maybe just taking turns to give an impression of how we go. And I'm going to start with Pat with the same order, so we don't have who's next.
I think this was great. I always learn so much just from sharing with my colleagues here. It's great. It's thought-provoking, and to hear how different people can manage the schedule and things is very helpful. And I personally find in doing the stage 1, stage 2, that time management for that day, I only have them for one day, so it's really important. And it's important to just stay spot on. So this was helpful. It was great going through it. It helped my mind sort out the pieces of it and thinking of it as foundation movements, as steps, 4 Qigongs. I'm thinking of it as the different modules now.
Yeah, and I do teach it pretty much like the video that I do 1 Qigong with 1 beginner's movement. But Bill says he liked it all Qigong movement and then all the. When they say, I mean, whatever suits you is fine. The system is sort of 1 step at a time and build it up. So yeah, if it suits you the other way, that's cool too. Who's the next? Bill, I think is the next.
Bill.
What do we follow?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Great comments, Pat. I echo those comments. One thing I do find, Paul, and I did teach a Tai Chi for beginners last year in Zoom, and people had worked strictly. It was a Zoom class. It was not a stage 1, obviously wasn't out yet, but people worked very hard on the DVD. And I had a couple of people, they really seemed to comprehend the parting horse's mane for the fundamental movements, but you were moving straight forward. And when we started teaching the form and we had to make the 90-degree turn, it just totally blew them away. They couldn't figure out how that we did it one way in the fundamental movements and then we did it another way in the form. So that's something that, and that is something. Yeah, I've tried to tie those together a little bit, and I'll share the comments I shared with you on the homework, is that I much prefer to do the 4 Qigong movements separately as a little separate Qigong set, rather than mixing them in with the fundamental movements for Tai Chi for beginners. I think people get a little bit more out of it. For me, they seem to get a little bit more out of it when I do it that way. So that's the only thing that I've done differently in the ones that I'm doing now as compared to the first ones that I did.
Sure. Who's next?
Well, as the least experienced master trainer here, I really appreciated hearing all the different ways that people are teaching, doing things, modifying, some great ideas. So I've been jotting down lots and lots of notes. I think it's been really great. I mean, the stage 1 program, the online program, I really like, because I like doing self-paced programs. But it's so inclusive. There's so much content that it seems like the second day, the stage 2 day, is really more about just practice, and giving the participants the opportunity to be practicing as instructors. So thank you all.
Yeah, well, Kitty, really well prepared, and you had a nice Tai Chi. I like your Tai Chi very much. And and I know all the occupational therapists that I work with, one of them was this lady who decided that's not good enough. She wanted to be a doctor. So she was I taught doctors. So she worked in my practice for half a year while I teach her more about family physician. So she was fantastic. She's so just like the other occupational therapists that I know, who's practical, who's pragmatic, and really very clever. I think very down to earth, and I thought she wasted time being a doctor. She'd do better. OT is more important than doctors. I think bring people back to where they are. Nowadays doctors don't save life so much really, but Anyway, she was a great doctor too. I like her so much. I actually invite her to take over my practice before I retire, but she's have other reasons to join another practice. She's a Lebanese in origin, but she grew up in Australia and she want to work with the Lebanese people, which is nice. I respect that. She's just very, very nice person, very nice lady. So yeah, sorry, divert. Who's next?
I think, oh,
I thought. I'm number 4, right? Are we on number 4? So, oh, number 3.
No, you have 4 because you did the Qigong, number 4.
Yes. So I am the newbie of this form, and I feel the same way. I glean, even if I wasn't a newbie to this form, I glean so much when we do gather and share and get together. So I'm just grateful we have this opportunity. That's all I have to say for now.
Okay, I'm
excited.
glad that you can do it too. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Richard?
yeah, you know, one of the things that I really, really appreciated doing this is I'm like a sponge, and listening to the other MTs of how they present. I would have loved to got everybody and heard everybody's presentation, but I just like listening the way that people present things, and this helps me, you know, grow. And I guess I'm now leaning towards, well, maybe I better do one of these Zoom classes. Maybe I better do a stage 1, stage 2. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you do well, Richard. You do well. Yeah, I think you do well in Zoom. You just have to try it. You know, I know nothing about Zoom when COVID hit. And then I thought I should start with learning. And I go to my Tai Chi school and say, okay, anybody who wants to come to Zoom is free. And I run for a couple of months and get my ex together and learn from my friends or my IT experts. And I still run the free class alongside with other webinars. So just learning, like Tai Chi help us to learn. Yeah, yeah. So I think you do well.
Well, prior to the COVID, I had a facility with a martial art instructor, and I was doing some 73. It was just an open class, anybody that wanted to come. So I have a little experience doing that. But as far as doing the actual workshops, I've not done that yet. So I'm kind of leaning forward to sticking my toe in here. But I do appreciate what we did today. Thank you.
Yeah, have a go. Beverly?
Ditto on learning from other master trainers. And I enjoy the sessions more when we sort of deviate a little bit from demonstrating or saying, this is how we'll teach it. And to say, after they're done, why? Or did you, why did that work? Or did you try something else? And then it ended up being a group discussion about, well, I've done it this way and it worked for me. And then somebody else said it, and it's like, okay, you begin to incorporate into your own style of teaching what has resonated with other people. And I think this is for Richard, is teaching on Zoom is a challenge and a different experience than teaching it in person. But I also think it makes you a better teacher. You have to think more about what you're trying to communicate, how you can do it, and without being there in person, from walking up close to the camera, back again, whatever. I think I know I'm a better teacher now after even teaching the Zoom sessions than I was before. And the individual Zooms, they're a challenge. Paul in terms of my time management and such. But that is another opportunity of learning how to work with different people. Learn the individual, but it also means that I have something more now from these Zoom sessions to say, you know, what is it I'm looking for? Am I listening differently? Do I have to listen differently than I do in person? And it's a wonderful opportunity to do that. And one last thing, Paul, about stage 1 and stage 2. I know stage 1, I was a professor and I know what happens with these online stuff that people do. But what is really nice is it does get people to work through at their own pace. But then I find that sometimes it's easier for people to schedule one day with me versus 2 days. And I think it's another way of opening up greater access to more people who may not have the flexibility in their schedule to manage a 2-day workshop. But kudos.
Yeah, thanks, Beverly. That's really nicely say. You know, you're right. I learned to be a better teacher with Zoom, and one of the big teaching tool was because I edit all the recordings, I get to hear myself, and I get to see sometimes your mind went a little bit too fast, especially I know a little bit more. And so, okay, jumping steps here, or talk too much here, talk less. So yes, it's a good learning tool. Yeah, that's really good, and we can learn from each other. Certainly, there's nothing like a personal energy, but Zoom is not going to go away. I think I'm going to use it more.
I have seen you more since COVID. I mean, what a blessing that is a silver lining, really, for me. It's been a real blessing.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah, since you see me more, I see you more too. Works both ways. Yeah. Yeah. So let me see. Shall we do a 24 together before we finish? I just want to say that, and I'm right to assume everybody know 24? Yes? Yes? Okay.
Yes and no. Yes, but
Yes.
not really well. But I'm going to start teaching it so I really get it. So
Okay.
it's in the
Follow
making.
me. Just do it together. I might make my image bigger. So we just do the 3 quick warming up from. We just do the 3 quick warming up from Bill. One more each side. And the last one. One more each side, the 24 forms. Commence. And the last one. The 24 forms. So I think there's in Tai Chi, I mean, I know there are people, one of my friends, her husband coach windsurfing, and he doesn't know how to windsurf, but he coached national champions. You know, so you can teach people something you don't know, as long as you know how to teach and know the. However, in Tai Chi, I think it's really good. You're a more effective teacher if your Tai Chi is better. The depth does help because Tai Chi is so internal. On the other hand, you don't have to be, you know, this high in teaching Tai Chi. Teaching methods are really important. And I also think that understanding the principle, those are the two really key points. So that helps, and for us master trainers to teach Tai Chi for beginner in 24 form, it does help if we have a reasonable level of depth in the form. And 24 form is a really, really nice set that not only that, I think Tai Chi for Health programs, I practice every program I teach and create regularly, as well as the 24 forms, and they all help each other. You know, they when you understand the principle, it doesn't matter which set, which style we do. They help each other, and it improved my understanding of Tai Chi, and improved my enjoyment of Tai Chi, and I think the proficiency of my Tai Chi too. So I encourage you to do that, to practice and work on 24 form. I think most of you have been either facilitating or actually in the 24 form depth that I did this time and I did last year as well. But if you haven't, all you have to do is send me an email or send me a recording. I haven't complete yet. I'm trying really hard to edit all the recordings for the January workshop. I'm having a hard time finding time at the moment. So just on a personal basis, you're my personal friends. I am moving house. I live in this house, you can see here, for nearly 40 years. Professor Kang, Professor Moon, and Master Fu, the chief creator 24 form, they all came to my house, stay in my house before. And I seldom have guests staying in my house, but those guys, I have a fortune to have them here. So it's nearly 40 years, so it's kind of hard to live, and there's a lot of work involved in finding a new place and leaving this place. So I've been really busy, but I'm really excited to change. It's time to move on. I try to get the recording done soon, so so I was sending it to everybody. Most of you have facilitated, and I'll send you a copy of it. I'm working hard on it, as well as working hard on getting to the house and get it ready for sale. It's a lot of work.
Do you think you'll stay in that area, Paul? Do you like the Sydney area, or are you thinking of moving to the country or the bush? Moving to the bush.
Well, you know, I pretty much live next to the bush and the river last 40 years. So I think when I always have this feeling when I get old, which I'm old now, but when I get older, I think I should go to the busiest place to have some excitement, and I don't want to retire in a quiet retirement village. So I'm moving to city. I already found a nice place in city, right in the very much close to the center of the city. It's quite noisy, but it close all the windows, it's pretty quiet inside. So yeah, time to change. And downsize, smaller. It's a huge house for 2 person, so I'm going to have an apartment, so less to care for.
Downsizing is tough. I know.
I'm just getting the taste of it.
A lot of good memories.
You know, nearly 20 years ago, because I've been doing workshop around the world for more since 22 years ago. And I remember one day I was doing an extensive workshop, like I was away from home for like nearly 2 months. And I was walking with my suitcase and I say, look, my life is so simple. 1 suitcase and me, a backpack. And why do I need a big house? Why do I need anything else? But I guess we do. But you don't really need it. I have to practice that philosophy. It's going to be hard. I know you're hard. Yeah. Yeah, so one of the good thing I see the new place is that it has a space to do the workshop. It's not as long as this, but then I only use half of this, but it's wider. So my Zoom studio is going to look bigger to you than smaller. That's one of the reasons I like this place, this new place. And when I close all the windows, you don't hear the noise from the traffic.
That must be pretty good windows.
Sorry?
They must be pretty efficient windows if you don't hear anything once you close
Yeah.
them.
They're double glazed. Yeah. It's very, very, very well built. It's an apartment, but it's a really unusual one. I like to be unusual, so it's unusual. Yeah, so everybody, it's been great working with you. Was there anything, I was sending you a recording of this, anything, any question, any comments, and anything you'd like to share with everyone?
I just want to thank you, Paul, for making this possible, even though there were only a few of us who wanted to do it. I really appreciate it. I think that this is a really great way to start introducing the 24 forms. It will lead to that, but this is a great way while we're limited with Zoom, on spacing and all. I think that this fits in really well with the way that I have been teaching on Zoom. And I like the component structure from my groups, from my people, that they're going to really like that little bit of variety where we have warm up, we have a stretching, and we have a qigong, and I'm going to spread them out with the new postures and see how that goes. But anyway, I just really appreciate that you were still willing to do it, even for a few of us. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. We are the Magnificent Seven. We're going to change the world. Yeah. Actually, it's a perfect number. 6 to 8 is a perfect number. If I don't have your guys to help me when I do a stage 2, then I would probably run a stage 2 between 6 to 8 people. You got to see everybody. So yeah, 6 to 8 is a good focus number. Good for group discussions, good for sort of getting to know everyone, working with. And because of Zoom is much more cost effective, so it's workable. Yeah, and yeah. Okay.
Richard has something. Richard
Thank
wanted to.
Yeah, I have
Keep in
something.
touch. You know what we should do is we should have some sort of group, like an email group or tons of group discussion on how we're going to develop TCB. What was it? What do people do? I know they have group thing in WhatsApp, and I think they have Facebook too. Or maybe we just have a group email that we share what we're doing with it.
That would be good. I can send something out to we who are here. I can't keep up on Facebook or Instagram or any, it's just it becomes another task, another thing I have to check on, but I'm always on my email. So I'd be happy to email us and say, here we are at the email group. Anybody have any plans right away? So.
Okay, that's good. I'm pretty much the same. I can't keep up with Facebooks, even though some of my people do it for me. So yeah, let's have an email group, TCBMTs, and we share what's going on to do with TCBs. It'll be fun.
And Richard wanted to say something, I think.
Yeah, this is totally unrelated, but I found out that John Gould had passed. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but when I went over to Australia for my MT training, he was just so kind to me, you know. But anyway, I thought he was just an amazing man.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. I went to his funeral, and which was Wednesday, 3 days ago. Oh, he certainly is an amazing guy, and he's from our school, so I used to see him every Tuesday. A great guy. So well, it's very sad, but he really did a lot in his life. Yeah, to go for things and don't take the step back. And at the end, motor neuron disease is a very unpleasant, it's a horrible thing to have. And so he went with an amazing spirit. So John's a great guy. Thanks for mentioning that. Okay, everybody, I will talk to you again. We'll have our email group.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
And when you have some free time, come and help me moving.